Before I started learning about writing, I used to think a good story was all about a strong plot, an unpredictable twist, a believable world, a premise so compelling that you'd want to buy the book just from reading the back cover. But then, something I read completely changed the way I think about this. It wasn't about plot at all. It was about character. More specifically, about why we care about a character and what happens to the story when we don't. When you think about it, no reader ever finishes a book because of its plot. They finish it because of the characters. In the first few pages, they find someone whose life they want to follow, and they need to see what happens to them until the very end. So, before we talk about structure, beats, or acts, we need to talk about your hero. When you're writing your first novel, it's completely natural to want to protect your main character, to give them strengths, make them likable, keep their life manageable, to make them someone you'd want to spend time with. But that's exactly what creates a character nobody cares about. Readers don't want perfect, they want real. And real means flawed, means having problems. It means a life that isn't working, a character who hasn't quite figured out why. Think about Katniss Everdeen at the start of the Hunger Games. Poor, hungry, fatherless, her mother has emotionally checked out of life. The world she lives in is brutal, and it has made her hard and distrustful. Before anything even happens in the plot, her life is already a complete mess. Or Tom Joad in The Grapes of Wrath. He walks out of prison and comes home to find his family has already left. No money, no work, no food, no future. He hasn't done anything in the story yet, and we're already completely pulled in. That's not an accident. That's craft. The rule is simple. Your hero needs a problem, ideally more than one. And that problem shouldn't stay contained to just one corner of their life. It should spread. It should affect their relationships, their work, their sense of self. When a reader opens your book, they should feel the weight of your hero's world almost immediately. They should think to themselves, this person's life is really a mess. That's when you've done your job. We've given our hero a problem. Now what? What they want. And I'm not talking about a vague, abstract desire. Not they want to be happy or they want things to get better. That's too soft. The want needs to be concrete, tangible, clear, something the reader can track, something we'll know by the end of the book whether your hero got it or didn't. A treasure, a championship, an escape, something like that. Whatever it is, it needs to be the thing your hero believes will fix their life. I said believes, and that's a very important detail, because the want is almost never the real answer. What a character thinks they need and what they actually need are usually two very different things. And the gap between those two things, that's the story. In Save the Cat Writes a Novel, Jessica Brody calls this the B story. The external story, the A story, is everything happening on the surface, the plot, the action, the visible goal. The B story is the internal journey, the thing the hero didn't know they were looking for, the lesson hiding underneath all the drama. In Ready Player One, the A story is an Easter egg hunt inside a massive virtual world. But the B story, the real story, is about a lonely kid who hides from reality and has to learn how to make genuine human connections. In Misery, the A story is a writer trapped in a terrifying fan's cabin, but the B story is about a writer rediscovering why he writes and how that act of creation can literally save a life. When you can feel both of those stories running at the same time, the surface and the underneath, that's when a novel becomes something readers can't put down. There's a concept in Save the Cat that I keep coming back to. Every flawed hero has a shard of glass. It's a psychological wound, something that happened maybe long before the story starts that changed how your hero sees the world and themselves. It's worked its way under the skin. You can't always see it from the outside, but it's there, shaping every decision they make, every wall they put up, every mistake they repeat. Your job as a writer isn't just to give your hero a problem, it's to understand where that problem came from. Why is Katniss so distrustful? Why does this specific character carry this specific wound? When you know the answer to that, you know your character. And when you know your character that deeply, the plot almost writes itself, because every beat of the story becomes a test of that wound. Before you start building your plot, before you map out your scenes or plan your chapters, ask yourself 3 things about your hero. What is their problem, the flaw that's infected their entire life? What do they want, the concrete, tangible goal they're chasing? And what do they actually need, the deeper lesson they don't yet know they're looking for? These 3 questions are the foundation of every compelling novel ever written. Get them right, and everything else becomes much easier. Get them wrong, and no amount of plot will save you. Next time, we're getting into the beat sheet, the 15-point structure that sits underneath almost every great novel. If the hero is the soul of your story, the beat sheet is the skeleton, and you're going to want to know exactly how it works. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.